Hey guys, this is Kinda Creepy, and I'm Jason Emmett, who's just
I'm Casey Masterpiece. Ooh.
Go ahead.
I'm Casey Masterpiece.
And I'm Twisted Kid Matt.
Well, they don't know what I'm gonna say, but I'm just a little creepy. I'm kind of creepy. Hey, we got some more clips for you guys this week, so hold on tight because it's gonna be a fun ride. Actually, it's gonna be a very interesting week. We always kind of go out and we scour for the clips we want to do, and when I pulled the ones I wanted to do this week, it just so happens I have a couple of cemetery clips, and I didn't plan for it to be that way. It just sort of happened that way, which is what's really, I think I just found two that sort of worked out that way.
Little do you know, I almost pulled a clip that took place in a cemetery as well.
Wouldn't that have been weird? It's just very synchronicity stuff going on here. We just sort of pull these sometimes.
Insert a clip of the Police playing up there.
One of my favorite albums.
Oh, yeah.
So what makes this so interesting? So I'm going to give you kind of the background before we play the clip. My first one's a little different. Actually, in that it's not a video. It is, but it's stills, which normally I don't want to do stills on here. But this story is so compelling and so interesting. And I really want to get your guys' thoughts on this because it doesn't matter in the end if it's supernatural or what, it's still going to make you go, but what the hell is going on here? So these are stills that come off a motion activated trail camera. Again, I want to give you the backstory, then we'll watch the clip, but this took place in the Masonic Cemetery in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And the original story involves a 2-year-old little girl named Fabiola Rodriguez, who, while left in the care of her mother's boyfriend, she was actually killed. This happened back in 2018. It's a very tragic story. Life of a very innocent child was taken, very sad. You should know that for whatever reason, court stuff, whatever, the boyfriend is technically still out. He's still not in jail. I don't know if they're awaiting trial stuff. I think I got on bail, whatever. So then we're going to jump about a year ahead to 2019. A man named James Bustamante was shot and killed in Las Cruces, New Mexico. He was also buried in the Masonic Cemetery. And his family, James' family, started noticing that his tombstone was getting vandalized at night. And they thought that it might be the person who had shot him, who is also still not in jail. They thought it might be that person coming out to mess with his tombstone. So they set up a trail camera to try to catch him in the act. But what they caught was what we're about to show you. So I want you guys to watch this video. Let's go ahead and play this clip. So this is the trail camera, what it picked up at night at James. And that is the little girl, Fabiola, who was murdered.
Oh, jeez.
Knowing the backstory of this video, it makes it so much worse.
Look at the shoes, look at the shorts. It's weird. Her tombstone is a little ways away from his. It's not right next to it or anything.
They're nearby, kind of?
They are fairly close, yes. Not super close, but close enough that you could probably stand at his and look over, and if you knew where hers was, you could see it, but it's not right next to it or anything.
Yeah.
So this actually was reported on the news. Okay, the news has picked this up. I know Matt really likes it when news has picked these things up.
Yeah.
So
kind of gives it a little bit more credibility, a little bit.
Right.
Well, this is all legit.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Documented.
Even if you could look at me and say it's not supernatural, what the hell is a little teeny girl, probably around the age of 2.5, doing in a cemetery at night, walking over to graves?
Yeah.
No adults in sight, no parents in sight. No one knew this camera was up except for the family that put it up because they were trying to capture. So it gets weirder. All right. So I told you there is a news clip of this. It is in Spanish, and alas, I do not speak Spanish, so I did not bring that video clip. But if you want to go over and watch it, look for Al Rojo Vivo. We'll put that up here at the bottom so you know what you're looking for. If you look for that on YouTube, you'll be able to find this video, the news report, but it's all in Spanish, so just be warned. Here's the thing. The family took these captured images into the main office at the cemetery, right? And they're like, we don't know what we captured here. We thought we were going to capture somebody vandalizing his grave. Instead, we got a little kid coming over and visiting his grave in the middle of the night, early in the morning, whatever. We don't know. So they're showing it to the people in the office at the cemetery. And one of the people that works there says, I know that little girl. I know who she is. That's Fabiola Rodriguez. And he kind of tells them the story and how this little girl was kind of made famous by, unfortunately, what happened to her. They then show this video to Fabiola's mother, and she sees it and she's like, I'm not even questioning this. That's my daughter. I know. I know my own daughter, and that's her. So I want your guys' thoughts on this. So the things we know to be a fact, these stories are true, and there is definitely a little girl who looks about that age in a cemetery at night. And we don't see any adults around. So what are your thoughts on this video?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
A little speechless. You're like, oh,
definitely kind of creepy.
right.
Well,
It's heavy as hell, I'll tell you.
You guys think paranormal?
It looks very similar.
I don't
want to say it, the possibility of being staged if like there was like nobody, like if there was an adult far away in the background.
It's a weird thing to stage, though, man.
It's totally weird.
I mean, I see what you're saying.
Like, why?
Yeah.
And our usual response to like why we would stage this is the views. Why?
And then
why
you got to think
want
the security inside the cemetery. Yeah, that too.
Two families, at least
there are
two families grieving. Like
there are some cold ass people in the world, but I don't know that these people would be this cold.
Yeah.
Like they don't seem that way. They were legitimately like they aren't. Also, they didn't set it up on the little girl's grave. They didn't even face it. That's actually behind this one across a little road. Like I said, you could kind of see it. They set it up on their son's grave because it was getting vandalized every night, and it's a trail camera too. It's not like, you know, I can tell you, I think the people who set this camera up were shocked as hell. I don't think they, you know.
Do we have any photos of what that grave looks like during the daytime? Like I'm curious what is on the grave for a reason.
There's plenty. There's actually a video of a guy that goes out. This is how I knew where Fabiola's grave is.
Okay.
He goes out and he's telling the stories, and he goes over to this grave first as he's telling the stories about both of them, and then he walks over to Fabiola's grave. That's how I know where both of the tombstones lie.
So
it's because
I'm going to give you some room to edit that in right up there if you have the ability to. I'm very curious to see what the grave looks like during the daytime, because the stuff that's on the grave, considering it looks like it's a fairly recent burial, there's people leaving things there.
Yeah.
The fact that the spirit in question is of a little girl, is there possibly like teddy bears, toys, things that would like
that's a good question,
a child to that area? And I mean the innocence of children, of like going over and, you know, just like checking things out, like what's going on over here, you know.
How deep do we want to get with this? How do we like? Okay, so this is
get deep as hell, dude. Let's do it.
I kind of want to know what the temperature was that night when that video was taken. If it was like a very cold area.
Okay, well, I know it's New Mexico, and I can tell you right now, I have stayed in New Mexico over the weekend, and it is hot during the day and frigid at night. It is just that way. I was shocked at the drastic change in temperature from the daytime to the nighttime when I was there. Now, again, I don't know what season this is versus what I was there, I believe, during the summer as well. So that's very important to know. No, but if you want to talk how deep is this? Okay, so 2019 is when a little girl passed away in 2018. He passed away in 2019. These videos aren't brand new. These are a few years old. So we're getting even closer to the time. And what if, like, he's like you said, Matt, what if it's a newer grave and like she sort of like this spirit senses the new person who was also murdered by someone whose killer is still out?
True.
It's just so many weird things.
Yeah.
All I know is the mom seeing that and then saying like, that's my daughter. Like that is like
I got
two people
right now, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. Like this is
two people saw this and instantly said it was Fabiola Rodriguez. One person who worked there knew the whole story. Like all of this is out there. The news reports, you can see these photos. Like I'm not out there cribbing. This is all available. So it's not like I'm going out and like disturbing somebody who doesn't. The mom has been on news outlets talking about this, you know. And
see, let me see if I can pause it. But the stuff that's on that headstone right there, where she's been down to look at it. One of them, it looks like an angel that's kind of like praying over to the far left of the headstone. I'm curious what the other objects on that headstone are, because I mean, obviously they lit it up with some solar lights and stuff, but
lights.
There's probably
and it's
like flowers and things like that, but it looks like there's other things like potentially some kind of a toy or something
that would attract a child. Yeah. But even the lights, think about it. If you're like, none of the other tombstones have lights that might attract.
Yeah.
As well. It's just very weird because no matter which way you flip it, there is a child in that cemetery at night, apparently alone.
Yeah. And I'm going to point out, you know, we were talking about the lights. It is projecting that light onto the child there. So if it's a physical child, it's a physical child, but why is it out there at night? Right. If it's a spirit, it is a
full body,
like solid apparition.
Yeah. Is this a cemetery like anywhere near a community
of people?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I don't think it's because like, do I think there's a suburb right next to it? No, I don't believe so. Like again, from the videos I saw, you can see like what kind of looks like a highway off in the distance a little ways, but I don't know. I can't give too much on that. I just know what little bit I've seen of videos of people being out there and stuff. But again, if this kid is out there by themselves, then there's an adult somewhere hiding.
I just looked up the news article
and sending her. So Fabiola,
of the friend.
Yeah, I didn't give details on all that.
Jail. It's totally.
Yeah, I didn't give details of what happened. I mean, it's not.
We won't. Yeah, it's
no. I don't want to make this is a tragic death, but the mom was given some peace. She actually believes that her daughter, like, went over to like sort of pay her respects to someone else who passed away,
and that's kind of what I'm guessing is happening. That I just think like, why a kid would go over and look at it.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of stuff there too.
A lot going on, and then none of the other tombstones, they're just tombstones, you know. And again, recently deceased, similar circumstances at the time. The killer was still out, and they knew who it was, but he wasn't in jail, you know. So I just think there's a lot to be said. I don't know. Kind of like Matt, when I watched this, like I don't know if it's a real kid or if it's a spirit, but it kind of gave me goosebumps as well, just knowing that this story was what it is. Regardless, even if it is an actual child out there, it's weird.
Yeah.
And the fact that they would go to that grave also makes it weird. And the fact that they would find a child that kind of looks like from what I see, there's a lot of similarities going on there, you know. So, all right. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. I think that was a really fun one to talk about. Yeah. My next one also takes place in a cemetery, guys, but a different cemetery and a different story. This one's a little more urban legendy with the story. So I'll kind of give you once again, I'll give you the backstory on the next video, and then we'll get your guys' thoughts on the video. So the second clip today comes from Rusty Tucker. This takes place in Evergreen Cemetery, Judson, Arizona. A place that is place that is supposedly haunted by the spirit of a woman. This is the very urban legendy type thing. The spirit of a woman who lost her baby and then passed away shortly thereafter. The legend said she was buried in the cemetery, and there's a statue that in the front of the cemetery of a woman that is supposed to be her. People claim they've seen her ghost roaming the ground searching for her lost child. Very urban legend stuff. Every state, you know, has some similar stories, right? We've all heard similar stories. Makes it a lot of fun. And because that's a lot of fun, people tend to go out to this cemetery on spooky nights to ghost hunt or whatever. So Rusty Tucker here
goes
out to the cemetery.
Driver name too.
Right. Rusty Tucker.
I'm pretty sure Rusty Tucker is just their YouTube, but I could be wrong about that.
Either that or bad porn name.
Ew, Tucker. It's weird.
Or good porn name.
I don't want to get the Rusty Tucker. So Rusty goes out to the cemetery, and according to them, they hear some eerie sounds. They hear what sounds like somebody crying. They hear some different moaning. It really creeps them out. So they decide we're not going in the cemetery. We're going to stay in our car. We're too freaked out. But Rusty has a drone, and he's like, but you know what? We're too scared to go in, but I'm going to send the drone over the cemetery and see what we capture. So they sit in the car. They set the drone out, and this is the video that they captured right here.
Just picture the sound of like bees flying around.
Now, I will tell you guys when we get
drones. Yeah, drones, bees. Yep.
When we get to the part that's important here, I actually made an assumption at first, and then I watched it a couple more times, and I was like, oh, well, maybe this is why. And I'll tell you what that was at first, and then I'll tell you what I saw, and we'll get your thoughts on this one. So far, they're nothing. They're flying over. They don't see anything. Tombstones. Little girl visiting a grave. Nothing much going on. And then suddenly something is going on. So this is where my first question came, and then I realized what was probably happening.
Ooh.
Let's watch that again, shall we?
Yeah.
Not the whole video, just let it play. I got some highlights here.
Yeah. No, I've watched a few times, but yeah.
Don't worry, folks.
I have thoughts as well.
Don't worry, folks. I won't make you watch the whole thing over again. And then they kind of go after it. He turns around to try to, follow, and he can't find anything.
Wait a minute, I just saw something move there.
So the first thing I want you guys to pay attention to is as this thing walks off to the left of view, it looks like it disappears to me.
Yeah.
No, where it'll stop soon. It's just them looking around. I like to show as much of the video as I can, just so you guys understand the full scope of what went on. So you can, if you see something, so we're circling it. It's right there. It is squatted down or bent down, and it's going to stand up and walk to the left. And it definitely looks like a gown or something, right? And then it sort of disperses. See? Into the darkness. It just sort of. All right. So when I first watched this, I'm going to tell you guys what I thought. When I first watched this, I'm like, it's a little convenient. The only thing that really gives me a lot of pause is it's when it sits still for a few seconds and then we see the thing move.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's cut it over to the highlight clip, and I'll kind of point this out. So I thought it was a little odd that it's right when the drone sits still that's when the action starts. But then I realized it is completely possible that he saw the thing squatting down, and that's why he stopped with the drone. I didn't notice it at first, and maybe he's like, what is that? And that's why the drone stops, and he's trying to stay in one position to try to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation I have for it, because the drone goes very stationary for a few seconds before this thing stands up and walks off. Yeah. And I was like, it's almost like they stopped because they knew that's where it was. But then I'm like, oh, no, maybe they noticed it and they're trying to figure out what it is next to the tombstone. That's possible. What I do appreciate, though, is that the camera then tries to double back and follow it. Like they try to chase it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if they knew where it was going to go, like if this was staged, they would have known exactly where to go to follow it. They would have known where to go to find it. They would have known where to go to follow it. They would have known everything about it. I don't think that this is faked. If anything, they may have found somebody who went to the cemetery to mourn the loss of someone that they loved in the middle of the night, because that was when they felt like it was probably they would have the most, uninterrupted time, to do
They're ducking down when they hear the drone and then try to.
Oh crap! Somebody found me, and then get up and run away. If it's a real person,
what's throwing me is they're dressed very like
yes,
like 1800s.
Yeah, it's like they look like they're wearing like a dress and a bonnet almost. It's very weird.
And also like the way it moves, I mean, this is coming from like watching like several, Bigfoot
Hands up,
videos.
kind of goblin-y.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way that it gets up, it doesn't seem like natural for a human being to actually move in that way. Plus, it disappears
It
towards
could,
the
and
end.
I was going to say it could be me, but it does look. It could just be it's getting too dark for me to see. But to me, it feels like it disperses, like it disappears as it
Hmm.
gets out there.
Now,
Watch, to me, it looks like it slowly like evaporates, almost like,
yeah,
and then it's just gone.
and I kind of mentioned it earlier when you were describing the situation. It has a lot of similarities with the story of La Llorona.
Yeah,
So,
a little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody who lost a child and then shortly after died themselves, and then now they can be heard crying and moaning and wailing in the middle of the night, looking for their lost child. That's a very well-known story. And there's been reports of people actually seeing this, wailing woman in cemeteries. So especially down in the Southeast where that story, allegedly took place. And this, again, like I said, another, did I say Southeast? Southwest. Yeah.
The story sounds,
be corrected in comments.
The story sounds very urban legend BS made up to me. This is the same story we hear. There's a cemetery here where there's a statue of a woman that if you kiss the statue, apparently the woman would appear in the cemetery. So much so that they finally put it, like kids were going in there so much, they put a gate around it. So that's story to me. But we've talked about topas or tapas or however you want to say it, tapas. We've talked about tapas on the show before.
The small.
We've talked about tapas on the show before. Like how much energy can be given to something before
it becomes
we don't know.
Right.
And maybe people saw this entity and then made up the story around it. Like we don't know any of that. Like for all we know, there really is an entity in the cemetery and people are seeing it. And because people need a story to go with it, they created a story. Like the story doesn't necessarily feel that real to me, but this clip feels kind of real to me. And it's from a drone footage, which again could be faked. But it seems like it'd be a little harder to. I mean, it's very stable. Drones have gotten really amazing with how still they can. There have been a few drone videos I've watched where I'm like, I can't even believe it's a drone. It's sitting so still. It's pretty. And with image stabilization being put into cameras and stuff now too, it helps a lot. But like Kevin said, the way this thing moves, the way it stands, the way it looks like it's dressed, I mean, there almost looks like a nun praying, but then we got Little House on the Prairie bonnet, it's just it's really, so
which would,
those are my clips.
Hide a face a little bit better, actually. Now that
it would absolutely, and it would add credence to older backstory, so maybe you would dress like that, but I wouldn't think so. I would think people would be like, oh, if it's a woman in the cemetery, we're going to put her in a flowing gown to show she's looking for a daughter, so I don't know. It's you guys let us know what you guys think, because I'm curious. I saw these videos, I really enjoyed them, and I wanted to kind of get that out there. But now we're going to go into a weird one. We're going to go in Casey's clip. Casey, I'm going to let you introduce the clip a little bit, and then we're going to play the clip, and then we're going to talk about the clip. Why don't you tell us all about what you brought us this week?
Well, this one is to all you Sopranos fans, and if you're as big a fan as I am, you probably heard of this one. And this is going to kind of dispel the this video, but this is a scene I want to say in season. But I'm not going to quote the season. I'm probably going to get it wrong, and I don't want to get backlash in the comments. But
what's sad is I had it and I should have written it down. We'll put it on the screen right there, telling everybody what season and episode this is.
But this is a scene featuring Janice, Tony Soprano's sister, and Bobby Baglieri, who are about to have a meal. And this is shortly after Bobby's wife had passed away. And this meal involves some wine. And as they're sitting down and Janice kind of relaxes, the wine glass seems to kind of move on its own.
And I want to give Kevin a little support here. And that nothing was ever, viewers caught this. This was, viewers noticed this and started pointing it out online. So it wasn't like the people, producers or anything, viewers noticed this. And
See how it moves?
Yeah, that is a little weird.
We got a little highlight of it, so I think I zoomed in a little bit, make it a little tighter, so you guys can kind of see what happens. Kind of moves forward and scooches back just a little bit.
All right, they're talking about Bobby's dead wife during the scene.
Which is what makes this so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kev, because I never knew this. I don't watch The Sopranos, I never have, and so when I've read some of the stuff to research this, I found out some really interesting stuff about this show, which makes it even more interesting to me. And I may have to go back and watch it now. So when I first watched this, was like, does she like pull the tablecloth a little bit or what?
Placemat.
Which a lot of people thought that too. You can see the tablecloth though, and it clearly does not move. Yeah. But it kind of got me wondering, like, was this intentional or not? So I'm really glad you brought this clip. But for any viewers of The Sopranos that thought this was real, that this was a real ghost captured, it is not. So one of the cool things about The Sopranos that I never knew, and I'm wondering if KC knew because he's a huge fan of the show, the show creators, the showrunners, actually have a long history. They have said you can go back and watch The Sopranos as a horror show if you know.
Yeah.
Because they have a long history of putting supernatural things in the show without talking about it at all.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently there is oh God, what's his name? There's a character who is his name Pussy?
Yep, Big Pussy.
Big Pussy, who gets killed. Spoiler, I guess. I mean, the show's been off the air for a long time. And in one shot shortly after, I think they're at they're at a house after his wake or something.
I think it was like somebody else's like wake.
Yes.
But he makes an appearance in the mirror.
In the mirror as they shut a closet door. And apparently there are things like that throughout this entire series.
Yeah.
Because, so they want to suggest that the supernatural is happening around these guys all the time and they're not even aware of it. So that there are almost like there are repercussions to their actions. That the dead, when they die in this show, they're not really gone. So they almost like they sit back and watch everything unfold after it's happened.
And there's a lot of references to the paranormal and like dream sequences, almost to the point where it sometimes hurts the show. But
I can see that dream sequences sometimes like overdone sometimes in shows and movies. What's really cool is there's actually a really cool article about the supernatural that in this show over at movieweb.com. It's called The Sopranos 7 Times the Movie Series Went Supernatural. And so I recommend everybody checking that out, and it'll tell you about different times throughout the show where they had like supernatural stuff take place on the show, but they don't make reference. They just do it and they don't talk about it. And it's not supposed like awesome. If you were just watching this and didn't see that wine glass, the show would have been the episode would have been what it was. But adding that little reference is supposed to let you know that even though she's dead, she's still there in that room and she might not like what they're talking about. And that's what I guess they were getting at. I really appreciate that Kevin brought this, one, because it's a lot of fun to talk about and it made me learn something that I had no idea about. And two, it really harkens back to a time before the internet when we would hear stories and just think they were true. Yeah. And I'm going to give you guys two very famous examples that you're probably both even thinking about right now. One is The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz and 3 Men and a Baby.
One is 3 Men and a Baby, where we were told this story, a kid on the set of 3 Men and a Baby in that apartment where they were filming, and you see his ghost behind it. And I remember seeing still images, which is all we could see back in the day, and going, oh my God, there really is a person behind that.
Something there.
And then we found out much later when we could slow things down and stop things, it's a cardboard cutout of Ted Danson. And most of that was actually filmed on a set, not even in a real apartment. And then The Wizard of Oz, it's like we can see a little person in the background. We heard this whole story about a love triangle. All of it's made up. And when they colorized it, you see that it's actually just a bird raising its wing. But we saw something that looked like it was swinging. And so we're like, it's what it is. So I think it's really cool to know that these producers and showrunners put these little Easter eggs inside these episodes for people. Yeah. So now, if you're a Sopranos fan out there, go back and watch and see what you can catch throughout the series. See if you can find anything hidden. Yeah. I think it's really cool. Now, makes me want to watch
it. I will say I've never had any interest, even in the slightest, to watch this show.
Well, I mean, I think
mobster stuff has never
mobster
appealed
stuff.
to me.
yeah, I was just about to say.
So-
I mean, I'm into like Goodfellas, like
Yeah.
Casino. Yeah, that's my thing. But
Yeah. Now
yeah,
I'm
and I
intrigued.
love
I've
all
heard
of
it's
it.
a great show. I just had
I have
never
too,
been interested
except
to
for
watch
the last episode.
it until now. And now I want to see this show because I love the backstory of shows, and knowing that they were like, hey, let's add this other little thing and just never discuss it. And it
There was
just kind of slowly comes out that's exactly what they did. I love that.
There was a podcast back in the day that Matt and I were both fans of, horror, etc.
Mhm.
And they, because of them talking about watching Breaking Bad, and he goes into just the cinematography.
Yeah.
He's not even talking about the episode. He's talking about the cinematography of this one shot and how amazing it is. I went and watched the show and became a huge fan.
I did
I'm not
with
into
that
mobster
and with
stuff.
Game of Thrones as well.
Like, I don't get me wrong, I love the Godfather movies. I love
the first two, of course.
The first two. I love Casino and stuff, but I wouldn't say like I'm like hardcore into mobster stuff, but I'm still into a good story and a good series. So
new spin-off show for kind of creepy mobsters and monsters.
Mobsters and monsters. So really cool clip. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, because that was a lot of fun to watch.
Sure.
Now we have Matthew's clips. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you brought us this week?
I got my notes here. All right. So, kind of similar to Jay's, actually. There's a little girl involved. There's a little girl named Evie, or Evelyn. And this is the story of Evelyn and her Uncle Tim. Evelyn is a little under 2 years old and lived with her, or her Uncle Tim actually lived with her grandmother, who would babysit Evie. This is a fairly well-known clip.
As soon as you sent it over, I was like, yeah, I know this clip.
Yeah, the mom of Evie walks in the room, and Evie is talking to something that, apparently she can see, whether it be an imaginary friend or a spirit. And she starts asking Evie what she's, talking to. And this is what we film. And I'll go into a little bit more after we watch this.
Well, I think you failed to mention he passed away 2 months prior to this.
Yeah. Her Uncle Tim had passed 2 months before this of an accidental overdose.
Who are you talking to?
You can hear him here.
Yeah. And when I go back, I'll boost the audio a little bit.
I was going to say I didn't. I knew what she was saying.
Sounds like uncle.
Uncle,
Who are you talking to?
Uncle?
Now, very clearly having a conversation.
Who are you talking
something.
to? Evelyn. Who are you talking to?
Yeah, I agree with Evelyn.
Who are you talking to?
Well, she won't stop asking.
Okay. Now, I'll play that again, and I'm going to boost the audio up a little bit. You can...
Yeah, because I never knew you could hear...
You can hear a whisper, all right?
I've seen this clip many times.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
I mean, I hear something.
Yeah.
It could be.
Who are you talking to?
You want to know what it sounds to me? To me, it sounds like a dog barking outside somewhere.
It's some kind of audio in there.
I'm not.
Yeah, that could be something like anything.
And okay, so
who are you talking to?
What makes these so we don't see anything? And my preference in videos is when I get to see something. To be completely upfront with everybody, I like to see things. But I always think it's weird because a kid this young isn't going to you're not going to coach this kid to pretend they're talking to their uncle. Yeah. You might get him to say the word uncle, but she's interacting.
Yeah.
This child is interacting. Unless there's somebody standing off camera, like getting her to interact.
Yeah.
Who are you talking
That is the only way that this child is faking anything. Now, am I saying that makes this 100% legit? No. But I have a theory. I've had it for a long time. And I think a lot of people agree with this. You guys probably agree with this.
I think I already know what you're going to say. But go ahead.
After people pass away, it is very common for people to say they see them, even just briefly. It's almost like them showing up and assuring them they're okay and telling them goodbye. I don't know because I haven't done any research. Matt, this is yours. Maybe you have, or maybe you haven't.
I have done.
Has this continued? Has she continued to see or talk to her uncle?
A lot of videos of her communicating with her uncle, talking about her uncle. As he says right there, she still talks to him or about him every day.
Who are you talking to?
There's another video. I wasn't able to find it, or else I would have included it in here. I wasn't able to find the original, rather. But this also kind of made a news type show,
Who are you
I guess.
Talking to?
And there's a video where they says, the mom says like, "Who's happy?" And she goes, "Tim." It's like,
"Who are you
Tim's happy?" And she goes, "Tim's happy," or just says happy, but she's clearly talking about her Uncle Tim. And there's that was one of the other things that that I came across with this was when she was being babysat by her grandmother, her Uncle Tim, who lived there, would help out with taking care of Evie. There's a lot of videos of them playing at the park. He's pushing her on a swing. They spent a lot of time together. And then, like it says in the beginning of this, he passed away a couple months before that of an accidental drug overdose. So not exactly a pleasant end for Tim.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
You got to think of like
Who are you talking to?
The bond that he had with his niece and the fact that he just wasn't there anymore at a certain point. That kid's not going to understand that.
If Tim were going through dark stuff too, and she was one of the things that brought him joy, I'm just saying again how deep we want to go.
Right.
So me personally, I'm going to say one of two things is happening here, and that's I personally wouldn't need any further explanation. That I think either one, this is legit, and she's seeing what no one else can see, and we've heard stories about that forever. Kids and animals tend to see things maybe because they're more inclined to believe. We don't know. Either this is legit and she is seeing her uncle and she's seeing him and talking to him, or two, because he's not around anymore, this child has created kind
like
of
an imaginary friend. Yeah.
To me, it's one of those two things, and I don't know which. And I don't even know if it matters if it's bringing this child and nothing's being hurt, and she's
Now
kids
one
need
of the
closure too.
Exactly, and one of the other things that I wanted to bring up is that this clip is covered a lot more in depth on a show on the History Channel called The Proof Is Out There, which is actually where I came across this. It's in season 4, episode 5. And they actually interview the grandmother, and they show that's where they show the clips of them at the park and everything. They basically did the research on this, but you can see like just how close that they were as a family. And
who are you talking to?
In my thought, the grandmother's not gonna go on there and try to make something up.
Yeah.
I feel like this family genuinely believes that she's speaking to the spirit of her.
Yeah, I can't see, like I said, unless somebody's off camera coaching her, and I just can't see them doing that.
Yeah, like anybody who would exploit their own family tragedy or somebody else's family tragedy is just straight
their dead
trash.
brother and their child. I mean, I'm not saying people like that don't exist out there, but there are certain people you can just sort of read the vibe pretty quick.
Yeah.
This video is very famous. I've seen it multiple times online at different paranormal channels and stuff. It is very famous.
How old is this video?
Who are you talking
good question.
to?
A couple.
Evelyn.
It's a couple years old.
Who are you talking to?
And do we know if, like, Matt, have you heard reports of the girl like seeing or having these like visions of her uncle?
Now?
Yeah.
That
we'll have to look into it and let's see if they've done any follow-ups. That's an interesting question. That's what I was kind of getting. Like, did it continue? Is it a one-off thing, or did it? And apparently, like Matt said, it continued.
There's multiple videos of her talking to or about her uncle, and like looking, not at the camera or anything. Like her mom walks up and kind of catches it happening in the act, and it's just like, what is going on?
This one's not so bad.
Yeah.
Some of these videos where these little kids see stuff and they're like, it's scary, and you're like, oh God, kid. You just seem like your uncle.
This one seems like the love behind it is like it's a positive visit.
Yeah, it's a little comforting
that way. Yes, this child is excited and happy.
Yeah,
and she said, like you said in one video, he's happy.
Yeah, she's not talking about a demon lurking around the house.
We've seen those, man, where kids like scary man with no face. You're like, oh, kid,
he's in the corner watching me at night. Like, no, this one is like she welcomes him to be there and talk to him. Like you can tell that he's probably just sitting there making faces at her or something, just playing and checking in,
trying to
sure
make
that
her
she's
feel
okay.
better about him being gone. Yeah, that's how I read it. So again, a nice clip to kind of, well, we're not going out on this clip. We actually have one more clip, but this was a nice clip for us to go out on. What we happen to have is one more clip that is a viewer submitted clip, which we really appreciate. We tell you guys all the time, if you want to drop us a clip, we would be more than happy to play it and talk about it here on the show. This one comes from Anthony. Anthony is a friend of ours, is a member of our Facebook group and a few other things. He sent over this clip. Been great interacting. Yeah, as we've interacted with Anthony quite a bit, and it's really cool to have. I actually think that Anthony submitted another clip way back in the day that we did a short on. We didn't do on the show entirely. But this clip has been making the rounds, and I actually saw this clip. So when Anthony shot it over, I was like, yeah, we're going to play this on the show. This is very recent, like very, very recent. And you guys have barely seen it because this was a last-minute addition. So let's go ahead and play it. And it's a very simple clip. Let's see what you guys think. This was February 10th, guys, this year.
Interesting.
Let's watch that again. One more time through. So, this bike, clearly.
It's one of those self-driving bicycles,
4:28 a.m., February 10th of this year. Their doorbell camera goes off.
Less than a week ago at time of filming.
Yep. Their motion catches it, and this is what we see. So, what are initial thoughts? Initial thoughts, guys.
Well,
could there have been like a little person like right behind the air conditioning unit to like maybe okay.
So
all right, my next theory
the distinction between little person and like a mythological little person needs to be made. Do you mean
Good
like
point.
a cryptid kind of little person, or do you mean like a Warwick Davis kind of little person? Which one you mean?
I'm thinking like a Warwick Davis like little person.
But he's also magical as well because he was Willow.
He was Willow.
Leprechaun.
And it was also Fuzz Bucket. No, I'm sorry. No. That's right. That's right. Damn it!
You invoke the name of Fuzz Bucket on this show.
I might cut some of that. Probably will. So this clip is weird to me because, like, when we talk about fake stuff, this is why would you?
Why?
And if you're gonna spend the time fake, why wouldn't you do a little more than this?
Yeah.
Also, it can't be a string. Well, it can. It would have to be two.
Yeah.
Because it goes backwards first and then forward.
I mean, what if it's like a puppeteer situation? Like, if somebody's like right up above, like a whole bunch of fishing line, right?
Why would you do this?
For the views.
Except, come on, wouldn't you go
That's
a little further?
Our first merch shirt is just why for the views.
Wouldn't you go further though than to make a bike go backwards?
No, you got to make it subtle.
And for all of us, go back to your days as a child when you rode your bike and you know for a fact this movement is legit.
Yeah.
This is the way a bike
goes. Yeah.
If you've ever pushed your bike over stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't figure out what would make, like, the wind wouldn't move a bike like that.
No.
The backwards, that Okay, but it's this.
And what's that light coming on? Is that
it seems like a motion sensitive light, which then
I think it triggers it over
the dog to start barking too.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Well, that and the noise probably all sort of triggers the dog to bark. I mean, you hear the bike fall.
I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and guess that that's a Yorkie barking.
Yeah.
Also, I'm making the assumption here that something happened before that triggered the motion sensor on the camera to go off before. So something motion that we just don't get to see.
Yeah.
That starts this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a messed up video. I saw this the other day, and I actually I thought about adding it myself, just because I'm like, what the hell? So we often look for what could be the fake, and we say I don't think anybody would fake this. It just
it's so random and subtle. Just like why?
Yeah.
And again, for the views, which good thing they're not counting the views on this right now because we played it like 12 times. But still, like, why would you fake
bad thing? I want them to count those views. We played
our views. Yeah, but their views. Like, come on. But yeah,
if you're gonna spend the time,
exactly.
Yeah,
like,
do more.
Okay, sure. Okay, let's go deep with it. Somebody in a green morph suit who knows how to edit themselves out.
That was going to be my second theory. Yeah.
Black and white video, and even
as
when
soon
the
as
green
that light comes on, it's gonna be a shadow on the side of the house. Which let's look for that when it comes on. There's no shadow, which means there's no one there.
Night vision. In other words, again, somebody who was skilled could do all of that, Matt. Most people couldn't.
But again, why would you go to the effort of it?
Right.
And also, if you pay close attention, we see like bugs and stuff shooting past the top that are after it. Watch, there'll be a little streak.
Yeah.
There it goes over the top of the house. Which I don't know what it was. Probably a bug. Could have been a shooting star, but it's definitely we see it. So I don't think this is fake. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's fake.
So
no idea what it is.
Yeah.
A ghost trying to get some exercise.
Weird bike stealing gins again. We get
Bismillah. It's like bike kicked over.
That was pretty good. Every one of those videos. You're right. Bismillah, Bismillah. We will not let you go. Let me go.
No.
If you guys have a video, please send it in or give us a link to it or something. This was given through it was sent to me on Facebook. We do have a Facebook group, which is a lot of fun. And we've been putting some cool stuff. I know Matt wants to go see the giant Bigfoot in Salina, Ohio now.
Hell yeah. We're sitting in the lap of that Bigfoot.
We've been talking about like we totally got to go because it's great. You can join our Facebook group. We're just kind of creepy over there. Come on over and we share fun stuff and talk over there. Yeah. That is one place to get a hold of us. You can find us on the instant of grams. Sometimes I don't.
Sometimes
I don't really mess with it too much, but we do have a page. You're welcome to go over and join that as well. We are on Bluesky. That's kind of our Twitter alternative. I'm over there. I post a lot of kind of creepy stuff on there. Mostly that's what I could post over there. So come find us at Bluesky. Occasionally we post on TikTok. We haven't been doing that as much, but YouTube is our home. That's where you want to find us. That's probably where you're watching us right now. And of course, we have an email. You can always KindaCreepyShow@gmail.com. You can send us stuff there as well. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Anthony, for sending over a clip. We really appreciate it. Again, guys, send us your clips, send us your stories. Let us know if there's anything on the show you think we're doing well. If there's anything you think we could fix, let us know. We will gladly do that. Pay close attention. It looks like here, I don't know exactly when, but we've kind of lined up a possible interview that might be happening sometime soon. Based off one of our more famous videos, we have somebody that has agreed to come on the show and talk to us about it. So be looking out for that. And I think that's all we got, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you. And until next, we have the opportunity to speak to fine folks at home. Keep it creepy. Ooh.
This is kind of creepy. Goosebumps rising up my spine.